So first things first, Tim, how are you?
I'm good. I'm in a festive mood.
That's very good to hear. Is it because of the album?
Yes. So the hard work is done and now we're celebrating.
So the hard work is done, you say. Let's start with that. And then I want to go way back with that. You celebrate your 20th anniversary this year.
Uh-huh.
Your first album came out in 2003.
Yeah.
Yeah, if I'm not mistaken. So the hard work, what have the last 20 years been like for you in terms of work? How have you seen kind of where you started to kind of where you are now?
Yeah, it's been a hard work, I would say. I mean, of course, it's nothing comparison to real work, let's say. But I've been ambitious, I think, to make something that's worthwhile, and I've worked like every day for that, like very focused, and also with a lot of thoughts of I can't do this and this is ridiculous, what the fuck am I doing, and stuff like that, you know, and just going through the motions every day, making a lot of bad music, a lot, you know, and just hoping that like maybe once a year there's a good song somewhere in between.
Especially in the beginning then, what was the dream, or did you have a dream or kind of a vision of what you wanted to do in music?
Yeah, I think the initial dream was to be a failed songwriter.
Okay.
I thought that was just a romantic image, and it was also a good way of not being over ambitious and just letting failure in, you know. I just thought that would be very cool if I could be a songwriter, which is already like a high standard. So that means that you can earn your living with songwriting, but it doesn't have to be like good songs, or it could be for commercials, or you know, anything goes. Being that frustrated guy that has to do his 10th cat food commercial, you know, and actually wanting to make this big masterpiece of a record but never succeeding or something, you know, that was
Sure.
That was like a high enough standard for me, and that was hard enough work even to achieve that. So the first goal was how to make a living with, this. Yeah.
With it, I always say with what I do, with how can I live my life without getting a real job? Is it similar?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, because I did a lot of jobs in offices, but also like in big steel companies, you know, counting screws and all that kind of stuff. You know, I did a lot of stuff, and it just killed me. It just totally killed me, and I knew like if I have to do this for the rest of my life, it's not. I'm gonna be burnt out. I'm gonna be depressed. I'm gonna be in a mental hospital. I don't know what, but it's not gonna work. So I have to find something else, you know.
And then obviously you found music. What are your memories of Champagne People? What were your thoughts around that time? Do you still remember?
Yeah, so that was like the first try of that escape plan, you know. So and I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know even if I was a songwriter or, you know, but I thought like I'm gonna try and see how far it takes me. So it was all kind of a big surprise actually that there was actually record labels interested, and that the album came out and people wrote about it in the newspaper and stuff. That was just huge for me, and my mind was blown. And it didn't have enough success at all to make a living, but it was like, wow, yeah, my life had started. I thought like, I can't let this go now. I have to pursue this.
And you mentioned kind of the ups and downs that come with it, and the doubt as a creative person throughout this journey. So what would generally, because I assume it's different every time, but what would get you through those moments of doubt, and especially early on, what kept you focused on what lay ahead?
Yeah, I would make plans. So I would just say like, if I don't achieve this goal in the next year, then I'm gonna just quit. I'm just not gonna do music anymore. I'm just gonna reschool myself and think of another plan. which was also fine. You know, it was just one of the plans. So yeah, make an achievable goal for yourself. Like for instance, being able to have a part-time job next to it and having enough money then to pay the rent and food for 2 years. If that works, I'm gonna continue. If I'm gonna be short and I have to do a full-time job, then I have to think of another plan, you know. And so I kept every year or every 2 years making this, reachable goals and just step by step.
Was there a moment that you felt a shift to, okay, this is actually going quite well, people are liking it all over the world, and not only can I make this my profession, but I can fully focus on this. This is now what I do.
Yeah. I think that came like within 10 years.
Okay.
That feeling started to be there. That's when I moved into this place. And yeah, I was like making a living long enough to think like maybe I could count on this, but that was a start. I think like after 15 years, that was when I really felt like, okay, let's face it.
And musically then, how did that develop? Because as you mentioned, you just tried to be a songwriter in the beginning, just to see if you could do it and then see what comes out. But after a certain, especially 10, 15 years, you have somewhat of an audience, you know people are listening. How did that affect how you write music?
Well, it never affected the way I write music, like within consciously, I would say. But I think, yeah, I grew more confident, and so that helped making the songwriting process easier. Doesn't mean the songs got better, but in a way they did. But you never know when you hit that special spot, of course. But yeah.
This is going to be a terrible question to ask them, but what makes, in your opinion, a good song?
That it resonates. That's what music is, I think, like that. You make something that resonates, yeah. And
how do you, as you are working, because I assume you work a lot here and that it's somewhat of a solitary process, I imagine. When do you know you're in the right direction then? So let's take the new album, Young Hearts. What was the starting point and when did you think, okay, now I'm kind of getting it?
I think because now I'm collaborating more for this album with Kenny Beats, of course, but also like Adam Bar-Pereg is one of my go-to songwriters here in Amsterdam now, which I work together with a lot, which I didn't do on City Pop and all the albums before that, but music, we started that, and I think we did that more on this album even. So I think that was the moment where we were just enthusiastic about the music we're making and thinking like, okay, this could be a thing, because before that I was already like writing by myself for the album and I was nowhere yet. And then I started, of course, with Kenny and with Adam, and then we started to get a feel of like, okay, this is a direction, yeah.
Was there something in particular that allowed you to be more open to other people or to work with other people this time around?
Yeah, it was a conscious decision. So we were like, me and my manager were actually, my manager is very important for Benny Sings. He's like really part of it, I would say. So we would make a lot of decisions with the two of us, and we stood on this crossroads. Like, music was for us a great success, and it was like collaborating with Mac DeMarco and stuff, and it was like really big for us. And so we were on this crossroads, like, are we gonna like take it easy now, and are you gonna just do an album on your own like the old days, which we were kind of looking forward to, you know, or do we take another step in like attracting the big LA producer and making an album that's even bigger than the previous, and maybe not in sales or something, but like in the way it sounds and the feel of it, and you know, and more focused on maybe the US or something like that, you know, because
Sure.
I'm a big like US pop culture person. So that was a crossroads, and we just chose for the collaborative bigger record.
How did you land on Kenny?
He contacted me actually
Okay.
on Instagram. So he said, "Do you want to work?" And that was before I was working on the album.
Okay.
So I was just still like in limbo, like what should I do? And then we hopped on a Zoom, and it was a great conversation. And but I didn't know what to expect at all. So it was like a bit of a gamble to say like, okay, let's go to LA to meet this guy and try to do a big session, and we'll see. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But it worked. So yeah.
And musically, what were those conversations like? What did you talk about musically, and the direction you wanted to go in? Did you have kind of a thought-out plan, or did it all come together organically afterwards?
Well, the idea was I had the feeling that I was hitting a certain glass ceiling. That the songs were all right, you know, but it was something about the production, or maybe something in the songwriting process, because it's all like, of course, blurred. But I couldn't get to the next level in terms of a sound that resonates more with more people. It was still very niche, and I heard that myself as well. Like, yeah, this is a bit too, I don't know, too flawed or something to like actually, you know, make waves or something, you know, like breathe and resonate. And that's what I told Kenny during that first Zoom, and he said, "Oh yeah, could totally do that for you." He was like, without a doubt, yeah, of course, I've got all the biggest songwriters here, and da 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 da. So funny. Never met the guy, and I can give you that extra slap, he said, and that was exactly what I was looking for. So I hung up, and I was like laughing to my wife, like, this is like maybe the best conversation ever, or maybe this is all just LA talk, and it's just poof and it's gone. So we went there like to see, and it was all real. So yeah.
Well, I find this interesting because we're as Dutch people, we're very much kind of behind the scenes, or how would you call it? Very grounded, and don't take a lot of that fluff along with us. So what do you make of this whole industry, especially since you do well internationally and you have to kind of visit all those places and deal with the industry, as it were? What do you make of that? And
you know, I think I got on the good side of the industry, because Kenny is like totally grounded and trustworthy and just a real person. He's also like a big guy in the scene there. He's like best friends with Mac DeMarco, Remi Wolf, Free Nationals, all of those guys. They go to him because he's such a good person, you know. So I just got lucky, I think. But it's still very LA, so it's still very much everybody's like having these big stories, and the way I deal with it is just I sit there and be quiet, and that is, Kenny tells me, the funniest thing ever, that I'm just such a dry, weird Dutch guy who doesn't like do big talk or something, you know, and they find that all very funny, so that fits in a weird way.
Yeah, and this is very interesting because I can't remember if I asked this in a previous interview, but did you ever envision yourself as kind of this front man, or this artist in front on stage in front of people?
Maybe, but I never envisioned myself as a singer. Never, and no, I'm also not the expressive type who lights up a room when he comes in or something. Not at all. So. But I do like to be on stage and stuff, and I didn't like acting when I was a teenager and stuff. So there was something with the stage for me that was there, but yeah, I'm an introvert, and I'm not an expressive type. So it's still all very surprising and weird. Yeah.
You mentioned Remi Wolf just now, and I had the pleasure to talk to her at Lowlands last year, I think. And you mentioned, well, she's friends with Kenny, so I just assume that's where the connection happened. What was it like working with her, and what did you kind of, what could you utilize in what she does in your own music?
So she came by like one day, and she was just this big ball of crazy creative energy. So we had made a lot of instrumentals at that point, and also did like vocals on it and stuff, but we just muted all the vocals and just let her loose on all these instrumentals. Like, and that was like the first hour that she came in. She was just like boom in front of the mic, and just every song like making these killer hooks. It was insane to watch. And so that's just pure talent. You can't do anything about that yourself. You can't like say like, oh, I'm gonna try that at home in the studio, you know. It's just something you have. So, and later after the album we did another writing session which just showed her genius even more, like, because then she really constructed the song and you really saw her work, and it was just amazing to watch. And the thing I brought home is, I guess, it's exactly the same process as I do, as we all do as songwriters. So it's nothing different, you know. It's all the same, except she's just very good at it, you know.
Oh, that's very interesting to hear. So let's take a more concrete example then. Let's take Pyjamas, where she's featured on. How does a song like that come to be? Because I know you were inspired by bossa nova for kind of the musical landscape, and how does a song like that form, and the lyrics? Because I think you wanted to focus more on the world around you rather than yourself.
Well, that was all not intentional and conscious, but like it was. Where, as it happens, a bunch of people in the room, guitar player, producer, Kenny Beats, also producer, but the other producer played a lot of instruments, Remi and I, so 5 people just thinking what should we do, and they had a rhythm box, this old rhythm box which would do these boom click it click boom click boom click boom click boom, you know, so like just bossa novas stuff, and then the guitar is just fiddling over it and just going along. It's all very unconscious and just doing whatever reality offers you, you know. And then you just murmur on top of it. I don't know, you know, and then words form, and you know, and that's how you write the song, and the lyrics just like candy bars and wine in the winter, man, I got you wrapped around the... That's totally without any thought.
Okay.
It just came out of her mouth at that point. And then I came like, we could take a walk on Cabana Beach, and then you've got this like counterbalance. It's just offered to you by just doing whatever. So he wants to take a walk, and she wants to stay in bed. So that's the premise then, and then it's a fill-in, and then like the pa 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 was a melody Remi just whistled, and then we did the pa on top of it. It's fairly easy. The whole song was like practically finished in a couple of hours.
Once you have kind of the bones of that song, or as it feels like it's very, very fleshed out already, but is it then a difficult process between yourself and Kenny to kind of figure out how to mix it, how to kind of finalize the product? I don't like the word product.
Yeah. Well, no, and it used to be very hard to finalize something, and also to work together with someone, because you always have these different opinions, and it's always such a hassle to go back and forth, and a lot of talking, and but none of that this time. It's just easy, because we just knew what we were doing. We just knew like what the essence is of like Benny Sings. It's just like the music we love, also old music we love, with the beats we love, you know. So it was all just very easy and clear, like, yeah, this is it.
And I don't know if you analyze your own music. I suppose you don't. But the things that I kind of write down whenever I listen to your music, there's a certain calmness to it, and there's a certain kind of subdued joy in it. How do you perceive that? And then is that intentional, or is it just the way you are?
No, it's never intentional. So I try to make wild music. I try to make super sad music, but it doesn't click with my voice. You know, it doesn't work together, so it doesn't resonate. It goes like this, and then it falls flat. And when there's this calm music under it, or this feel good or whatever, it goes like this, and it starts resonating, and you just feel that while you're working. So I always come back to that music.
And when it comes to the lyrics then, because I always like when songs sound a certain way, but then the songs are about a very different thing. So with this album, there's I don't know, because this is written in the bio, and I don't know if that's something you are involved in, but kind of this idea or the notion of lovable losers, or is that accurate?
Yeah, I would say so. I would think of myself as a lovable loser for sure. So yeah, I'm very connected to that, and I love movies about that and stuff, you know. So yeah, that's always a good motive or something.
So and this is just my interpretation from when I listened to the album, but there's a couple of songs, and Take Your Time is a good example, I think. I'll Be Fine, it's just the world to me. It's kind of the just lying to yourself almost. Where does this sentiment, and there's more of that kind of almost stalkerish, but not really. There's kind of that feeling.
Yeah, I think it has to do with my past.
Okay.
Because now I'm happily married and have kids and stuff, so it's not anymore. But I used to be like stumbling through my love life, you know, and there was always a very, very big part of unrequited love, and I just had a knack for falling in love with women that were not so interested in me. So, yeah, it was a big thing.
Because what I read is that you look more at the world around, but there's still a lot of you in this album then.
Yeah, I mean, maybe not about me, because again, like, I love anti-heroes, but yeah, my life is going well at the moment, knock on wood. So there's not a lot to write about myself, you know, but I still love that, you know, that whole image.
Let's come full circle then from where we started. Now, you've been doing this 20 years, and as you mentioned, things are going good. You're playing all over the world. From what I can tell, all the reactions on social media are very positive and stuff. First, did you imagine you'd arrive at this point at any time? And how do you perceive kind of now what you do and what you still want to do in music?
It feels like a trip, like a dream. It's like so unexpected, and yeah, I just feel an enormous amount of gratefulness. Everybody uses that word. It's become ugly, but it's true. It's just like, is this happening? Like, why? And I can enjoy it. Very much. It's just, yeah, I just won the lottery. It feels like that.
This is perhaps difficult for you yourself to answer, but why do you think it is that people, that the music that you make resonates?
I think because I've always like started out going extremely deep, because I felt like if I'm gonna try to make this in music, then I have to go deeper than anyone else to like really be honest to yourself and say, but come on, what do you really like? You know, like when I just used to listen to only hip hop in those days, but I was like, come on, no, but really. And then I had to admit, like, yeah, when I hear Beauty and the Beast theme song, you know, I cry. So I incorporated that and all that kind of stuff. So there's a lot of like, so Quentin Tarantino said in an interview, like, your product should be so personal, you're ashamed to show it, you know? And I think that resonated with me a lot in what I did in those early days, like the second album I called I Love You, in a day and age where that was like totally not done. Like,
Sure.
It was feel good, it was sappy, and it was just, there was for the indie scene that was really like very rebellious, let's say. That was like everybody was like, and I remember like having to tell people that my album was called I Love You, and I felt ashamed.
Okay.
Well, you know, and I think like going that deep is one of the reasons why it kept resonating, although it was a small group, but it kept resonating. So yeah.
Final question then. You mentioned earlier on you set kind of certain limits for yourself, or certain times in the future for I want to accomplish this. If I haven't, then maybe it's time to call it quits. Do you still kind of put goals in front of you?
Yeah, but they're very different goals now.
Okay.
So because I've just got a family life,
Sure,
and it's become way more complicated. Like, yeah, I want to be home more. You know, because when you're away a lot, it's not good for the kids. They just go erratic, and it's just, you notice it. And although I love going on tour, I'm like, there should be more stability, you know, all that kind of stuff. So it's, yeah, not very rock and roll, but
just normal family. But
normal stuff.
But just to round off, this idea of just approaching it as a 9 to 5 and not seeing it as, and then this is again perhaps the Dutch thing.
Yeah.
Not to blow it up into this huge rock star romantic idea, but just this is a 9 to 5. This is what I do.
Yeah.
And after I'm done, I go home and spend time with the kids. So.
Yeah, totally. And it's all just a treat that it has that big thing that you go over the world and play. That's just beautiful, but it's gonna also like cause onrust. I don't know what the English word is. Restlessness, chaos, and I'm not a fan of that. So at the end, you know, I'll just stay home. It's better.
I think it's a very healthy attitude, and perhaps if we consider the past couple of years where everybody was forced to slow down a little bit, maybe hopefully that trickles down to kind of more of the world where you don't have to go 100 miles an hour all the time. You know? Yeah. Benny, thank you so much for taking the time to talk with me.
Yeah, thank you again.